And I'm scared, Grace. I'm scared for you. I'm scared for the baby. And this is how I am when I'm scared. It's unfamiliar to you, but not to me. I can be scared and carry on.
So the Oddfellows want you to know that any deviation from your instructions will have consequences.
What's your dog's name? Let him off the leash.
Are you hearing me, Mr. Shelby?
I can charm dogs. And those I can't charm, I can kill with my own hands.
Whether in the kingdom of domesticated men or wild animals, when a creature finds themselves in a hostile environment, their fear of subservience is oftentimes manifested in hyperreactivity and perceptible in the immediacy of their movement. The absence of stillness can unveil a lack of confidence and power. In a world divided into predators and prey, the projection of strength through non-reactivity can tip the scales of perceived dominance. Thomas Shelby is the irrefutable paragon of a man embodying stillness in motion, whose non-reactivity in situations of extreme pressure projects fearlessness. In the presence of adversaries, Tommy's behaviour is so effortless that he's virtually non-reactive. Whilst his movements are deliberate, his slowed cadence creates the illusion of apathy. His apathetic movement, unblemished by circumstances, signals clear control over his physical and emotional self. To the dismay of his opponents, this demonstrates a perceived ease in what would ordinarily be a deeply distressing environment. In the company of others, Tommy unrelentingly exercises the appearance of authority, regardless of the reality of the power dynamics at play. His reactions are moderated, yet emerge languid. He responds not just metaphorically, but literally at his own pace. The magnitude of Tommy's non-reactivity is palpable in life-threatening situations, where he often continues to breathe placidly, blink strikingly slow, and maintain a soft-spoken tonality, almost as if he's running a pulse with a heartbeat lower than most. Whilst we use the term non-reactive, the irony and reality is that Tommy behaving in what appears to be apathetic is a marked reaction in itself. This is a behaviour conditioned through design by Tommy. Tommy has a distinct ability to immunize himself from being baited by antagonists. He's an extremely difficult man to provoke into acting out recklessly. He has the emotional control to not rise to insults or threats.
You Birmingham people. Hey. You're all gypsies, right? So what do you live in, a tent or a caravan?
I came here to discuss business with you, Mr. Solomons.
Off. No. Categorical. You're ridiculous.
Mr. Solomons.
Tommy's non-reactivity in the presence of adversaries gives the impression he's in control, when in reality he may be vulnerable and concerned. His apparent inaction allows him to preserve his diminishing energy in high-octane situations, to be used decisively towards shifting the power dynamic in his favour. Tommy's apathy instills a great frustration in his adversaries. His stillness makes them feel unnerved, inducing doubt as to the effectiveness of their strategy.
You were one decision away from death.
So stop f***ing smiling.
Your name is Irene O'Donnell. You have a son at the Cherrywood Road School in Harborne.
There are other ways of carrying out this mission. Please allow me put a bullet in this scum tinker's head.
He researches his enemies. That's why he's been chosen.
I am chosen. I'm chosen. Can the chosen one smoke?
Tommy occasionally unmasks his non-reactive exterior, particularly around his family and close friends, allowing the true nature of his feelings to permeate. Almost always these are feelings of vexation born from the concern for his family. Tommy reserves the full extent of his apathetic display for the public domain, where his power and the security of his family is under constant threat.
The only way to guarantee peace is by making the prospect of war seem hopeless. If you apologize once, you do it again and again and again, like taking bricks out of the wall of your f***ing house. We take him tonight, that's it.
Oh, right, for Christ's sake, why?
Hey!
Why?
Why? Because we can! Because we can. And if we can, we do. And if we lift our heel off their necks now, they'll just come at us.
Amidst the people he loves, Tommy isn't afraid to reveal his vulnerability, provided it doesn't instill fear or defeat in them. Tommy's identity is inextricable from his family, and because they are a source of power for him, he doesn't always maintain his non-reactivity around them.
The Russians have made contact. We have to get used to how these bastards operate. For them, family is a weakness, and they go after him. For me, family is my strength, and there's business to be done. And I need you. Now, speeches, weddings. You're my best man, every fucking day.
Tommy is an extremely complex character, evolved through multiple layers of intricacy. It would be an injustice to not acknowledge that pervading Tommy's non-reactivity is the indelible emotional and mental scars inflicted upon him during his service in the First World War. Tommy is not afraid of death. Sadly, perhaps as a result of his post-traumatic stress disorder, he also has irrational and sometimes suicidal tendencies. Whilst this suffering attributed to Tommy's character is unhealthy and should not be emulated, it's an integral part of what makes Tommy uniquely difficult to defeat early on in his ascension to power. His pain can drive him to a dark place where he's nonchalant about whether he lives or dies.
And I don't care. Because I'm already dead.
One of the consequences of the war, which Tommy harnesses to his advantage, is that he was conditioned to violence and imminent danger. Tommy was immersed in action, which would incessantly force men to be in reactionary mode. Tommy was a clay kicker, charged with tunneling under enemy lines and setting explosives. In his ceaseless exposure under the tunnels to imminent threat, he later in his precarious civilian life acclimated to maintain a stillness. Because if he could survive the most claustrophobic, horrific and dark job you could have in the war, he could survive anything. His non-reactivity and stillness were born in the depths of those tunnels under what he expected to be his final resting place. Tom is a mastermind thinker ahead of his time, blessed with an intellect superior than those he's accustomed to.
I think, Arthur. That's what I do. I think. So that you don't have to.
This is not a typical academic intellect born from a high IQ in literature or science through formal education. Tommy grew up impoverished and far removed from statesmen he brushes shoulders with as a businessman and politician.
And that was all the money we had for the whole week. And I could never understand why people like us only had bread and lard.
It's an intellect propelled by remarkable mental abstraction, which gives him great powers of perceiving and abstracting ideas at a high level.
I'm thinking ahead, thinking of every possibility, remembering everything that is happening.
As emotional as he is, Tommy understands the art of disconnecting his feelings from his actions and in public practices emotional detachment.
You know, gentlemen, there is hell. And there is another place below hell. I will remember everything. I forget nothing.
Tommy has an unstoppable pursuit for achievement, to succeed and rise to the upper echelons of power. His ambition is driven by the desire for autonomy and self-determination, to no longer be at the mercy of the commands of government or any other group of people, ordered around as he was during the war as a tunneler, and derided about his lowly position in society as a gypsy.
What are you doing, Tommy?
Shoveling shit, Scully. That's like you.
And why are you doing that, Tommy?
So remind myself what I'd be if I wasn't who I am.
Following the war, throwing his medals for gallantry into the river, which he was awarded for saving the lives of thousands of soldiers, Tommy realizes it is money, power, and reputation that will grant him the freedom and ascension in society he seeks. His entire focus thereafter is to embark on an incredible and perilous journey, taking his family from rags to riches.
I'm not a traitor to my class. I am just an extreme example of what a working man can achieve.
Thomas Shelby himself is an enterprise. He structures his relationships as a businessman. He believes in an exchange of value, the power of information and trade. He's distinguished for using leverage not just as a negotiation tool, but as a weapon. He incentivizes using both the carrot and the stick, delving deep into understanding what the other person desires or fears.
I want to know what you want.
Look at it. That is my name in it. It's from the Lee family. You are also at war with the Lees, Mr. Kimber, am I right?
The Lees are attacking your bookies and taking your money. Your men can't control them. You need help.
Tommy's foresight, brilliant planning, and impeccable research before exposing himself to a hostile situation prepares him such that he's already envisioned the numerous iterations of what could happen. A challenging or threatening situation rarely takes Tommy by surprise. As a result, Tommy has the power to appear non-reactive, as he's already walked through the scenario and braced himself mentally.
A sundry device was put to his letterbox, which means that he will have to find somewhere else to live for at least the next 3 months.
Which also means that your plan for me to break in and shoot him in his bed is now no longer an operational possibility.
Indeed.
Tommy is a difficult man to catch off guard, and when he is, he has an exceptional skill of thinking on his feet and adjusting to the new dynamic to regain control, whilst painting the impression he's completely undisturbed.
We appear to have taken you by surprise.
I have adjusted it.
Since the socialists got into Downing Street, we are all being followed. We have to meet in places where we'd meet anyway.
You should have stopped by Small Heath. I could have given you a more traditional welcome.
It is the elixir of abstract intelligence, emotional detachment, enterprise-driven relationships, and relentless ambition to ascend, poured into the vessel of a battle-hardened man who considers himself already dead, that provides a potent fuel to Tommy's non-reactivity. What's remarkable about Tommy is that outside the public realm and in the darkness of his private quarters, he's traumatized, emotionally broken, and suffering from severe post-traumatic stress disorder. He's a man deeply damaged from war, loss, and love in a state of high sensitivity. Yet, out there in the world of predatorial adversaries, he's distinguished himself as the embodiment of stillness. He is terrifyingly calm and a man not just at the controls, but in control. There's no greater example than Thomas Shelby of the supremacy of non-reactiveness in spite of a storm of emotions raging within us.